I'm Laura Vitale. On this episode of Laura in the Kitchen, I'm going to show you how to make what I call my apple and cranberry bread. It's easy to make, it's so delicious, perfect for fall. So let me take you over the ingredients so we can get started. You're going to need some all-purpose flour, plain old sugar, some grated apples, sweetened cranberries, these are dried, eggs, vegetable oil, some whole milk, baking powder, salt, cinnamon, an orange, some vanilla extract, and a few additional ingredients to make like a streusel topping for it, which I'll show you in just a few minutes. But now let's get started. The first thing you want to do is get your oven preheated to 350. The second thing you want to do is take a 9 by 5 inch loaf pan, spray it with nonstick spray, lay the bottom with parchment paper. You're good to go. Okay, so let's mix up the dry ingredients first. Now I'm going to add my cinnamon and my salt and baking powder to my flour. Give this a stir. Now, if you don't want to use dried cranberries, you don't have to. If you don't want to use orange zest, you don't have to. You know, these are just things that I love in apple pie, because when I make apple pie, you know, I always add a little bit of orange zest. I always add cinnamon. So I figured, you know, you kind of can't go wrong with those ingredients. So that's why I do it. But by all means, use whatever spices you like. And if you do make this recipe and change it up a bit, post a picture on my Facebook wall. Just let me know what you put in it. You know, I might want to make the same thing. So now let's get working on the wet ingredients. In this big jug, I'm going to put in my vegetable oil. You could put in unsalted butter, softened at room temperature if you wanted to, instead of the vegetable oil. I've been adding vegetable oil lately to my batters because I really feel like the vegetable oil just gives you a lighter consistency, just a lighter texture. Doesn't necessarily taste any different to me. It just tastes, you know, it's lighter, while the butter gives you a little bit more of a buttery sweet taste, but it, you know, it makes your cakes a little bit more dense, which is totally fine. It's because it tastes delicious. So the eggs, the sugar, vanilla, good amount, and some orange zest. Now I'm just going to grate this in, about half of an orange, I'd say. I think that'll do. I don't want it to be too overpowering. So now I'm just going to take my half moon whisk and just give this a head start before I add in the apples. Looks good. Just going to add them right in. Get them all out of there. Now I just used some Honeycrisp apples because that's just what I have on hand. Any apple will do. You know, I always like to keep things like this on hand all fall and winter. Sort of like, you know, apples and pears and you know, any moment, if I've got some pie crust in the fridge and I've got some fresh fruit, I can make a crostata, I can make apple bread, I can make something if I've got guests coming over. So take that tip. It definitely helps. Now I'm just going to pour my wet ingredients into my dry. I've also reserved just a little bit of the dry ingredients and I've mixed it with my cranberries, because that's, you know, that's my little trick to make sure that they kind of stay evened out throughout the batter instead of sinking all the way to the bottom, because that wouldn't be fun. So I'm just going to now switch to my mixer here and just mix it until it's all together, until it's all nicely combined. That looks awesome. So now I'm just going to switch to my spatula. I'm going to add in my cranberries and then just fold them in. I don't want to, you know, I don't want to use my mixer because I want to stir these in as gently as possible because I don't want to overwork the flour and develop the gluten, because then it will make the apple bread sort of a traditional like white bread texture, which is dense and doughy, which is great and say, you know, a nice loaf of ciabatta or something like that. But with this, you want it to be moist and soft, so don't overwork the batter. That's really important. So now that you got that done, just pour into your 1985 loaf pan like I've got. And then just try and get it as even as possible. Get it all out of there. I love this loaf pan. I've had this loaf pan since I probably moved to the States, so we're talking more or less about 14 years. That's why I said get it going, because, you know, it never fails me. I've had that for so long and it's just works wonders. So now to make the topping. What I've got here is some brown sugar, tiny pinch of cinnamon and salt, and some all-purpose flour. I'm just going to give this a head start with a spoon just to kind of mix those dry ingredients together a bit, and then that's good enough. And then I'm going to put in some cold unsalted butter, and I'm using a pastry cutter. You can use a fork. It'll do exactly the same thing. And just cut it in until the butter is just cut into smaller pieces and it's just, you know, evenly spread out throughout the dry ingredients. That looks great. Out. And now lastly, I'm going to fold in some walnuts. You don't have to if you don't want to. These are just some chopped walnuts. Love walnuts, and I like the crunch that it provides. So, like I said, if you don't want to, don't, but I'm going to. And I'm just going to take this mixture and sprinkle it all over the top. And some of it will melt down into the batter, some of it will crisp up on top. It's pretty much going to do whatever it wants to do, but I can guarantee you it's going to taste amazing. So, and then you've got that evenly throughout the top. I'm going to pop this into the oven. It's at 350 for around an hour or until it's completely cooked. And the easiest way to tell is to take a toothpick or a skewer or a dry piece of spaghetti, insert it into the center, and if it comes out clean without any wet batter, then you know it's done. And then you want to let it cool for a while before you serve it, and I'll show you what it looks like once it's done. My apple bread baked for about an hour, and I've let it cool for around 20 minutes, and I just put it on this platter. It's time to dig in, and I'm going to tell you, it smells incredible in here. Like the whole kitchen just smells of apple and cinnamon and orange. Nothing wrong with that. Oh, just gotta give this a little taste. I'm gonna take this piece right here, the crunchy topping. That is delicious. It's got like a really good flavor, like an apple pie flavor. I'm gonna go back for more. If you want to get this recipe, you know where to get it, laurenkitchen.com. I hope you've enjoyed spending time with me, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.